Hello, I'm Jim, and welcome to Rallying in America, the Recce podcast. This podcast is an exploration of a rich history, the stories and memories of those who made and make Rallying in America so great. Enjoy the show. On this episode, I welcome the folks from the Pioneer Rally Company. Welcome Jamie Turner, Taylor Still, and Hatcher Still. They talk about their backgrounds and why they started a company to create and organize European-style vintage endurance rallies right here in the U.S. They talk about what a European-style endurance rally is, their inaugural rally, the Rocky Mountain Vintage, and future rallies planned and scheduled for 2026. Also, we learn about Project Healing Waters, the charity they support. You can find out more by visiting www.pioneerrallycompany.com. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, Pioneer Rally Company. And Jamie, we'll start with you. What is your background?
Absolutely.
And how did you start the Pioneer Rally Company?
Well, my background has been motorsport for more years than I can remember.
Mm-hmm.
I do have pictures of me in various racing cars from the age of 7. Both my parents were ralliers back in the 60s.
Oh, okay.
And until I was born, when my mum obviously had to give up and my dad had to support a family. So they waited until my brother and I were very young, and then they chucked us in some cars and threw us off down some hills. My parents got my brother and I at a young age into soapbox racing when we were at the age of sort of 7 years old. And as progressed, we obviously wanted to get involved with engine-powered vehicles, and we went through the karting route where we were racing all around the UK. And as we got older, that became more and more expensive, and we found our way into rallying in our later teens when we both got our driver's licenses. Mm-hmm. We then remained in the rallying world until the present day. So we've been involved in rallying since the early to mid-90s, where we were doing rallying all over Europe and the UK, and eventually an endurance rallying movement started in the early 2000s.
Okay.
And we were poised and ready, and we were competitors in that for well over 15 years, competing in endurance rallying all across Europe. And as life got on and we found women and other interests to take us away, we decided to get more into the sort of mechanical background and organization of these events that were being spread out all over the world. And I got involved in the mechanical side and spent many, many years on events all around the world, fixing various classics that were doing events that were from 3 days long up to 7 weeks long, and they were traveling all over the place. So that is my background. And then to get into Pioneer, it was something that I felt I would like to put my own mark on the world of endurance rallying. And discussions with Taylor, we both shared a common dream of the traveling and the sort of event organization side of it. And the natural progression was for us to join forces and start organizing our own event under our names. Hence why Pioneer Rally Company was founded a year ago, and subsequently the event that ran last month and the proposed events that are coming. That is how I got involved with Taylor in the formation of Pioneer Rally Company.
Oh, okay. Taylor, what is your background?
So I come from a mental health background. I was a school psychologist in Colorado public schools
Hmm.
for decades. Uh, and then, my background with cars is fairly minimal so far. Um, my father passed away at a fairly young age. My older
Hmm.
brother wasn't very into cars. But my wife and her brothers are really into cars and have a couple
Okay.
classic cars. And so, with car shows and stuff like that, I've kind of dipped my toe into that world. Um, but so, yeah, we'll talk about this, I know later, but mainly kind of what my strength is around that mental health piece, and that goes along with the charity that going to be we're going to be talking about.
Right. Okay.
I retired 5 years ago, and that's kind of when Jamie and I started talking about Pioneer and talking about what I was wanting to do in my retirement.
Hmm.
And I was mentioning travel, and Jamie talked about his dream, and we talked about how that could kind of align with, first going around the country and then, exploring opportunities to do rallies, in other countries. Um, then also kind of during my retirement, I worked for Marriott for a little bit, kind of in their hospitality area.
Hmm.
So that kind of got me familiar with more the hotel side, which is pretty important with this type of event.
Right. So how did you and Jamie actually meet?
So it was through a friend who he likes to socialize a lot. So he would have
Okay.
different events over at his house. Kind of we would hang out there and have a drink or two and some merriment, and then head out and see some live music or something like that. So I kind of cornered Jamie one of the nights we were over
Hmm.
there and started talking to him about life growing up in England and how it kind of differs from the US. And um, it was actually kind of around the time that COVID had hit. So I was curious to see, what he was hearing back home
Hmm.
around how they were dealing with the global pandemic. And we started to find out, how interesting we found each other and how easy the conversation was going, and a friendship quickly formed.
Oh, very nice. Taylor, what's your part in the grand scheme of Pioneer Rally Company?
Yeah, so with Jamie being the competition director, a lot of the other kind of pieces fall onto my plate. So
Hmm.
probably the main thing that I deal with is the hotels. Once the route kind of gets solidified, then we see, okay, is there a hotel that is big enough to handle all of us, including our crew and all the participants? That can be kind of tricky because a lot of times we're on, some pretty remote areas.
Hmm.
Uh, so that's kind of a challenge. Um, Dealing with all the lunch halts that we stay at for making sure that there's a window of time that all of our participants can fairly quickly go through and get their food. A lot of times we'll give them kind of a pre written up menu and say just have this filled out and hand it to um, the waiter,
Hmm.
as soon as they come up. Um, Other parts that I deal with are the advertising, um, the insurance, promotional materials to kind of get the word out. That's kind of a huge job for
Right.
these next three events. Dealing with some of the swag companies. Um, we did puffer vests that are kind of very Colorado because of how often the temperature changes out here
Right.
from hot to cold. But yeah, we did some cool flip-flops that were monogrammed or with our company name because we stayed at the Pagosa Hot Springs Resort and we wanted people to be able to slip on some flip-flops and go out and enjoy the pools.
Oh, excellent.
Um, so that kind of thing was fun. Entertainment on the nights that they're staying at the hotel. We did a wine tasting in Palisade, um, Colorado, kind of an up and coming wine country.
Oh, okay.
Which was really cool. And then kind of just company finances, making sure that we're kind of staying in budget. How much
Mm-hmm.
swag can we afford? What level of hotel can we handle? How fancy the gala's going to be.
Right,
That kind
right.
of thing all comes under my purview.
Okay, excellent. And Hatcher, what's your background and how did you get involved with Pioneer?
I recently graduated from CU Boulder with a communications degree, so that's pretty exciting. I would say that my core passions would be kind of with, you know, skiing, cool cars, and live music.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I really love all those. And then I recently moved back down to Denver and got into sales. So I'm
Okay.
currently a sales rep for a restoration company. And on the side, I like to do everything that I can to be involved with Pioneer Rally Company.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like I said, I grew up loving cars, playing with Hot Wheels and stuff. And then eventually got into racing video games with my buddies.
Oh, yeah.
And then in high school, I bought my first fast car. I guess, yeah, Mazda Speed 3 manual transmission, twin turbo. It was
There you
awesome
go. Wow.
until I blew the turbo about 6 months later and totaled it.
Oh, wow.
Um, we're not going to talk about that.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah, point is, I've always been into cool cars, and it's been really exciting to kind of get my foot in the door with endurance style rallying like this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I joined the team pretty much right when we launched. Ever since then, I've been sort of handling the social media side of things. So I post on Facebook and Instagram. It's a lot of work in creating, clever captions, responding to
Right.
people's, comments, making comments on other people's posts. And then pretty soon here, I'd really like to get into like TikTok and YouTube shorts, stuff like that.
There you go. Yeah.
So yeah, that's been really great and a lot of fun. And then on top of that, I also do some work in sponsorship management. So I reach out to different companies and try to get them to sponsor our events at whatever capacity they're comfortable with.
Right.
Yeah, so that's really cool as well. Uh, yeah, at the end of the day, I'm really proud of where we've come so far as a company and the work that we've done. And
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm stoked to see where we go in the future. I'd really like to, make Pioneer Rally Company a full-time career in the future. If I could do, race cars and traveling for the rest of my life, that would
Right.
be very ideal. So yeah, I'm
Everybody,
excited.
I would love that too. So what is European style endurance rally?
Is not necessarily something that's specifically European.
Okay.
The reason European type is really the sort of information that you're using. For example, European use kilometers instead of miles. That's a very simplified version of what they do. It adds another element, especially in a country that uses miles. The European side of endurance rallying is really where endurance rallying was formed.
Okay.
It started in Europe using kilometers, using a very specific type of timing. Now they have an element within all endurance rallying, which is your time, speed, and distance element,
Right.
and that's quite popular. Not huge, but quite popular in the USA. But the European timing side is slightly different.
Okay.
They tend to use more of a particular timing throughout the whole day, whereas in America the timing is split up between different sections. It's much more compartmentalized in the USA, whereas
Okay.
it's much broader in Europe. It adds challenges, both being the distances in kilometers and the timing being done where you have to actually engage slightly more of your brain in keeping track of your time. It just gives additional elements, but the main reason it's European is because of where it started.
Okay.
And it's not really reached the USA in shorter event type formats. There have been several from other organisers that have run through America or across America, but they tend to be month-long events, not your 4 days or or your 10 to 12 day events.
Okay, got it.
So that's what the introduction of it, European, by the foundation and by the nature of the elements within the event.
Oh, okay, excellent. We'll be right back. Power up your ride, daily driver, bike, or track beast with Melee Design Firm. Since 2018, Melee has been the go-to source for high-performance battery mounts and power solutions trusted by enthusiasts and professionals alike. Whether you're carving corners on the weekend, commuting to work, or chasing podiums, they have the gear to keep you powered and ready. Their lightweight universal battery mounts are engineered for performance, crafted with precision, and designed to handle whatever you throw their way. They don't just make and sell parts, they build confidence under the hood. Rugged, industrial, functional. That's the Melee difference. Join thousands of satisfied drivers who refuse to settle for stock. Upgrade your battery game today. Now back to the show. Rally you just had not too long ago, the Rocky Mountain Vintage Rally. Can you tell us about that and maybe what kind of cars ran in that rally?
Sure. We wanted to start fairly small for our first event. We wanted to keep it local. So about a year ago, Jamie and I, started off on a trek to see what kind of mountain towns and preferred routes of gravel and dirt that we could find. We kind of started with envisioning a 4-day competition. So we put a day on the front and the back of that to make it a 6-day event in total. But yeah, we got that going, started the advertising. Jamie has lots of connections from being so involved in this type of rallying that he already kind of had a mailing list of people that he wanted to connect with and say, we're starting this on American soil. One of the reasons why we thought this was the time to do it was, there's not a whole lot of American events like this. We know of a group of Americans that often have to ship their cars overseas to do these other events.
Right.
Thought, the market is ripe to let these people, save thousands of dollars by not shipping a car overseas to have the events here. And, there's a lot of kind of untracked terrain here in the U.S. compared to, Europe. So yeah, we had, let's see, a 66, a 68, and a 70 Volvo. We had a 60s Jag, Mustang, and Peugeot. We had, in the 70s, we had a 911,
nice.
a Mercedes. We had a Thunderbird, kind of a cornucopia of different cars. It was really neat. We also had a division for cars pre-World War II.
Oh, wow.
The kind of at the last minute, a couple of the competitors decided to switch from that class to the classic class.
Okay.
But hopefully for our next event, they'll choose to use what were those cars, Jamie? Wasn't there a Chrysler and a
We had a 1930 Chevrolet that was entered.
Oh, wow.
And we also had a 1937 Cadillac, a flathead Cadillac that was entered, and unfortunately, the guy still entered, and he actually swapped into a 55 Thunderbird in the end, because he, a lot of our competitors, they don't limit themselves to just one rally car. They may have several that are based in various parts of the world. And the guy, unfortunately, he had done an event in Italy where he had an accident. So the Cadillac was minor, but rendered unserviceable for the event. So he also has a very, very rare, what they call a Curtis Comet, where there is only one in the world and he has had it converted into a competition car. He was going to bring that, but he did settle on a fresh new build that he had, and he thought it would be a good opportunity to test his Thunderbird.
Oh, okay.
But for the future, both those cars are expected to be seen on the scene in various states of repair.
Yeah, that's a great variety of vehicles that you have. How long was the route for the Rocky Mountain?
We did it in kilometers to kind of pay homage to the European style that we were going
Excellent.
for. And it was 1,700 kilometers approximately. And then about, I think, 400 of those were dirt and gravel.
Wow, okay.
So we kind of needed to be upfront with people who were investigating our events. That this was going to be, you're going to be riding your car hard. This isn't a tour. We really wanted to differentiate ourselves from there are a lot of tours in America as far as going city to city and posh hotels. We really were focusing more on the route, the picturesque beauty of Colorado, especially around that time of year of mid-September when the aspens are changing colors, and it really was a beautiful time to kind of showcase Colorado to these people who really came from all over the world, England, New Zealand, East Coast, West Coast of the U.S. We really got great feedback. We got some people saying that it was the best route they've ever had from some of these
excellent
veterans.
Yeah. Very cool. So how do you determine the route that the rally will take? I mean, you must go out there and scope it out and run it maybe? And how does that happen?
Yes, I mean, it goes through various stages. I mean, you plan, like Taylor touched earlier, we actually plan the hotels around the route. And with any planning, that is done via platforms such as a simple maps, a specific rallying type app where you can plan the route using a map-based platform, even down to using things like Google Earth. That's the preliminary stages of the thing. And you formulate your plan in a virtual way. But it's imperative that the route is then driven. And on a number of occasions, Taylor and I found ourselves with a few days that we would join together, we would hop in a vehicle, and we would go and drive the proposed route. And that provided the format for what we could. We were very fortunate that we had an incredibly and we have a very incredibly talented route organizer called Sarah, and she's not able to make it today, but she is a wizard at working out what the correct speeds, and if a route doesn't particularly flow as part of the event, she worked incredibly hard to go and find alternative routes. So the credit must have to lie predominantly with Sarah, because what the actual final route timings and speeds and everything was done by her brain and her uniqueness that she can put it together. So it's very much a joint effort, but credit has to be handed to the correct people. And Sarah, provided what has to be accepted as 99% of the positive feedback was originated from her regarding the route,
very nice.
Hotel-wise and everything that we do as a peripherals. That has to be accredited to especially Taylor's wife Judy and Taylor, and the rest of it. The social media and the side of it that Hatcher dealt with was it was all great, but then we sort of couple it all together and we stitch it together in a particular type of way where the final paperwork is presented to reflect the hard work that's gone into both hotels and certainly the route and the timings and everything, and it's all provided in a platform that is a physical interpretation of what originally started out as a Google Earth activity that became a lot more involved as a result of that.
Right. So, are there any prizes involved, or is it just bragging rights, or?
I think you've nailed it straight on the head with the bragging rights.
Yeah.
This is definitely the prestige behind succeeding at an event, and certainly doing well, is the fact that you can stand there in the bar at the end of the event.
Right.
You can take your friends out down the bar and say, "Look what I just achieved."
Right.
You know, these are not a financial gain. This is a hobby. This is a sport that is done purely for enjoyment. So bragging rights, you're quite right, is the primary achievement of everything. You get your awards for coming first in class, coming second in class.
Okay, yeah.
Depending on what engine you have, you know, if you've got a much more powerful engine, say a Porsche 911, you can't really put them in a class with a 1950s Thunderbird. So you would have a large engine, or effectively a slower underpowered vehicle would be in the slower underpowered category, and of which you get recognised by being first, second, and third in class in those. The same with pre-war. If you're the winner of the pre-war class, you know, should we have the entries of pre-World War II cars, then the same rules apply. You get first, second, and third in the vintage category or the pre-war category, and that's where the event is commemorated. But we also run a number of special awards, which actually in many ways carry more prestige than just doing well.
Okay.
We certainly want to recognise the challenges that somebody who is brave enough to take their totally unsuitable car and drive 400 kilometres on gravel, somewhat competitively, they may not particularly do well in the results, but they have certainly made a huge achievement, of which we have, for example, we have the Unsinkable Molly Brown Award for the person that just doesn't give up. You know, they may have had a series of punctures. They may have made a mistake on the navigation where they're not featuring at the top of the leaderboard, but they're showing that spirit that we're trying to achieve. And so they would be awarded basically the Molly Brown Award, which is we never gave up. We have that Dunkirk spirit, if we want to reference the war.
Gotcha.
You know, and they reckon we also have an award for the spirit of the rally. You know, someone who embodies what we're trying to achieve, someone who turns up in a completely unsuitable car that's maybe too low for the gravel tracks, but that doesn't hinder them in their progress. You know, they keep going and they're showing and they're laughing and they're being a part of the whole thing, and they embody what rallying should be like at this level.
Exactly.
And that has to be recognised. And the other one is for someone who's maybe made a mistake on the first day and they're sitting at the bottom of the leaderboard and they spend the rest of the time doing particularly well and they're slowly climbing up the leaderboard. And we want to recognise that. So that would be called the Comeback Kids Award, as we named it on the previous event. So they're all the categories of awards. So you know, a lot of people don't go away empty-handed. A lot of people will pick up the main class awards, but these special awards, which, you know, are a little bit closer to heart for people who are new to the sport. They are they've had their difficulties and they've overcome adversities in the realm of these type of rallies.
Right. Okay. Very nice. So when you put these events on, how much are you dependent upon volunteers?
As with most motorsport, volunteers are crucial, and they are incredibly important for the success of these events. You can't really put a value on how important a volunteer is. The event simply doesn't happen without them, and you would be looking at a base of motorsport enthusiasts who their drive to be a part of the event is that they want to be a part of the event.
Right.
And it's an amazing feeling of camaraderie that everybody has. You're asking a lot of these people. We need a high number of marshals to deliver the result service and to actually give a higher quality and quantity of competition elements within the event. So we have a number of people that come to the event, and we had people from overseas. We had a group of people from England volunteer to come over and help run the event. And we had people that flew in from Minnesota. We had local people. No one carries any more importance than the previous one. It doesn't matter where they come from. A volunteer is a fantastic resource, and they are part of the event. They're not just a group of people that come and go. Right. We want them to feel part of the team. So we had a number of people that did the whole duration of the event, and they stayed in the hotels. They were part of the team. They helped with all the marshalling, the organisation. They assisted Sarah with her duties, with the clerk of the course, who is basically the main person. They assist with the results. They assist with Taylor and Judy with the hotel and the hospitality side of things. And certainly Taylor and Judy's roles were not limited to hospitality, because I would imagine if you asked them, they covered every square millimeter of Colorado that 4 days.
Right.
But it's a huge team, and we were very lucky to have some very enthusiastic and competent people as part of our event. But
excellent.
You can't stress how important volunteers are.
Right. So Pioneer has 2 rallies scheduled coming up next year, the Sun Belt and the Rust Belt. Can you tell us a little bit about those 2 rallies you have planned?
We actually have 3 rallies on the calendar for next year. Between the Sun Belt Vintage and the Rust Belt Vintage, we're going to be doing the Rocky Mountain Vintage 2026.
Okay, right.
The Sun Belt goes from the very end of April into May. It'll be about a 12-day event. It'll travel through Arizona, California, Utah, and Nevada. We'll have a kind of break day right in the middle, and we're doing something kind of fun where if you only want to do a 5-day event, you can enter and do the second half of the Rust Belt if you can't get the time off, or if you're worried that your car might not make 10 days of gravel and hard charging. You can do it then. And then in late, or I guess in mid-August, we're doing the Rocky Mountain Vintage 2026. That'll go start in New Mexico around Santa Fe, go up through Colorado, Utah, Wyoming, Idaho, and Montana. Oh, wow. We're hoping to finish in Calgary if we have to look and see how easily we could get all these cars across the border. That could be tricky, so it might end up in Montana, but we're hoping for Calgary. And then another, we haven't really decided how many days the Rust Belt Vintage will be. That'll kind of depend on the route as well. We're kind of fine-tuning that, but that'll again be probably 10 to 12 days, starting around Detroit and going up all the way into New York, across the Rust Belt states. We wanted to do longer events after we got the short one kind of under our belts to attract some of those more Europeans that probably wouldn't want to send a car over for just a 4-day event. But if you double that, that might make it worth their while. Or
that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, we're hoping even that, like Jamie mentioned before, a lot of these individuals aren't just choosing from one car in their garage. We're hoping that some of them might choose to keep a car over here for American rallies. We know a lot of them have the means to do that, and several of them have talked to us about storage facilities or how we could help facilitate that. So that would be our dream, to have kind of a stable of Americans and people across the globe that could easily do our events.
Okay, Taylor, is there a sweet spot, certain number of events that you'd want to do in a year?
Yeah, probably the sweet spot would be 2. but yeah, kind of dependent on the situation. I would guess that anywhere between 1 and 3 was what we would land on for any
Okay,
particular year. If we do a particularly long event, maybe we just want to make that the singular event for that year.
got it.
Um,
Okay,
or if we do one that's going to require a lot of travel, if we originally when Jamie and I first talked, he talked about wanting to do one from the northern tip of South America to the southern tip. Uh,
oh
that would
wow,
we would probably have difficulty putting other events on the calendar with all the time and energy that would take to
oh
try and
yeah,
put that.
that'd be a fun one to be part of, I would imagine.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's kind of how he got me hook, line, and sinker when he was talking about it. I was like, that sounds amazing.
that would be. What kind of partners and affiliates are you looking for?
Yeah, so that's kind of some of the work that I do as a sponsorship manager. Really, we're looking to partner with, brands and affiliates that share a passion for automotive culture and
Hmm.
adventure and I guess storytelling. That means companies that value like the journey as much as the destination, whether they're in the automotive industry, working with car parts, fueling, restoration stuff, or
Hmm.
maybe like outdoor lifestyle companies that provide us with apparel and gear, like sunglasses are a big one, and even bigger than that, like hospitality. Along these routes, we're staying at hotels and resorts,
Right,
so that would be huge. Breweries, stuff like that, and even like media and tech companies that um, you know have magazines or YouTube channels, mapping apps, GPS apps, or communication tools. I know that during this past Rocky Mountain Vintage, one of the problems that we ran into
hmm,
was just communicating with our teammates. You're on some of the most remote, you know, roads in the entire state of Colorado that are
right.
absolutely beautiful, but you're not getting service out there. So talking to each other and communicating can be really difficult at times. So yeah, that would be huge. Yeah, ultimately the best partners for us are the ones who see, value in connecting a group of people that share a similar
Right.
passion, drivers, fans, creators, yeah, through shared adventures and memorable experiences.
Yeah, great. So with that communication, do you enlist the help of ham radio operators? I know in stage rally, it's kind of crucial for the safety. Um, when they're in the middle of nowhere and they need that communication. So, wondering if
Absolutely.
some of those volunteers would be ham radio operators.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something that we're looking into for the Sunbelt Vintage because, that's one of the areas that we, um, struggled on for the Rocky Mountain Vintage. So
Got it. Okay.
getting into a bunch of that.
Yeah. So, what can you tell us about Project Healing Waters, and why did you guys choose to partner with them as a charity?
So it kind of came from my mental health background about how could we make that work.
Hmm.
Um, and we wanted to think about something that was kind of core to Colorado, and the fly fishing culture is huge. So what Project Healing Waters does is works with active military and veterans um, who are struggling with mental health, anxiety, depression, PTSD, those kind of things, and kind of helps them therapeutically through the art of fly fishing. How to read a river, how to tie flies,
Hmm.
kind of enjoying the outdoors. Uh, so we worked with there's a huge local chapter here, so we worked with Paul Moss, and he got us dialed into giving us kind of promotional materials, and so I think our presence at our next events. I think Project Healing Waters might be even more significant. We're talking about maybe a silent auction
Okay.
that could benefit them as well. Um, so yeah, with my strength and history being with mental health, that was an area that I felt pretty sure-footed on that
Yeah.
I could be a good representative of Project Healing Waters and promote that um, to the participants.
Right. Do any of you have a background in fly fishing? Do you guys get out fly fishing at all?
So my stepdad is a huge fly fisherman, reads books about how uh, fish's eyes work and
Oh,
what
wow.
colors he should be wearing and how to read the refraction of a river,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. And he has gotten my wife and I all outfitted. So we've got all the waders and gear and the collapsible pole and all that stuff. And yes, so we've been on the river several times with him. He has all the cool little gadgets. I'm still at the phase where I'm learning to tie the flies.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
but yeah, it's so serene. I mean, even if you necessarily don't have a mental health diagnosis, it sure
Yeah.
helps to get out on a river and really helps you kind of escape from all the hustle and bustle
Oh,
of
yeah.
American life for
Yeah.
sure.
That's why I love it. My wife and I actually spent our honeymoon fly fishing in
Oh my
Maine,
God.
so we love it. And it is very relaxing, and it's just good therapy, in my opinion. And if you ever get into tying flies, I find that tying flies is very therapeutic as well. So
Yeah,
that's
my
really nice.
stepdad has a whole trunk that he gets out and
Yeah,
has the spinner set up and we'll take some over and show them to us or give us and say, oh, this would be great for this type of fish or
yeah,
yeah, the the passion in Colorado for fishing and fly fishing is off the charts. I think all the states will go through for the Rocky Mountain Vintage
yeah.
2026. I'm tempted to bring my fly pole because there's some great rivers. He talks about Montana and Idaho,
Uh-huh.
incessantly about got to get you up there. So
Right.
yeah, it's a great organization to be involved with. And it's, yeah, definitely ignited my passion again to get back out on a river.
Okay. Do you get Hatcher out there? Does Hatcher get out there
Yeah,
too?
I was about to say I have a lot of friends that are really into it as well. So I'll
Yeah.
steal his gear and I'll get out probably 5 times a summer. I'm not great at it at all.
Yeah.
I'm getting snagged on rocks, and I fish for 10 minutes, then get snagged, and then I spend the next 45 minutes getting
that's
set up again.
that's part of
So,
it.
but
Yeah.
either way, you're listening to music or a podcast, you're talking to your buddies out on the river. It's
Yeah.
it's great.
How about you, Jamie? The UK is probably the birthplace of fly fishing, I would imagine.
Well, funny enough, I've only actually ever done fly fishing on one occasion. One of my late great friend was a huge fly fisherman, but
Hmm.
out on the oceans. He was
Oh, wow.
especially out in the Indian Ocean, and I was very lucky many years ago that he invited me to spend 10 days with him in the Seychelles,
Beautiful.
and I had a wonderful 10 days. By being an absolute amateur and being handed everything made to me so that I could catch fish that I never saw. And I had one of the most serene times and enjoyable times participating in something I knew very little about
Hmm.
and knew not much more at the end of it. But I did have a great time fly fishing out there. And unfortunately, yes, as you said, it's the birthplace of the fly fishing, certainly up in Scotland. But I've never, ever done it on my home soil. I've only ever
Okay.
done it as part of a rather out there type of holiday.
Okay. Sounds good. Um, if someone's interested in getting in touch with Pioneer, what's the best way to go about it? And
Right.
how can they help?
I mean, we have a number of platforms. Obviously, we have the website, which is pretty much where everything will direct you to. We do have Facebook and Instagram that Hatcher manages, and there's details on those two platforms, and also the links that take you to pioneerrallycompany.com, which is the sort of, if anyone's after any information or they just want contact telephone numbers, emails, it's all on the website, which is www.pioneerrallycompany.com. Any information that they want to know, if it's not on the website or they have any particular questions, all of our phone numbers are there. There's some bios about us and all contact details, including emails as well. And yeah, we get asked quite a lot of questions, some very relevant and very personal questions that people want to know. Is the next one going to have rough gravel or rough dirt roads, or are they going to be very smooth dirt roads, or even down to what sort of food they'll serve in the hotels and things like that. But yeah, we endeavour to answer every single question within a very short period of time. But yeah, any information that people want to know about what we're trying to achieve, even down to the charities and the affiliates and associates, it's all there on the Pioneer Rally Company website.
Okay, yeah, and I just wanted to add, our DMs are always open to anybody, whether it's a serious inquiry about participating in one of our events or just a question about the company or endurance rallying, anything. Yeah, they're open. Please ask.
Excellent.
And people have reached out and said, do you need any volunteers? I live in the area that the Rust Belt's going through. So yeah, we connected for the Rocky Mountain Vintage with a couple people in the different stops that we had, and they just did kind of a day volunteering of helping us out with some timing or getting people where they needed to go. We do have a frequently asked questions on the website. That kind of helps also, but yeah, we want this to be an easy way for people to learn about this sport and make it as accessible as we can, because we don't have a huge history of this type of rallying in the States.
All right, excellent. Well, Hatcher, Jamie, and Taylor, thank you so much for taking your time and chatting about Pioneer Rally Company, and really look forward to seeing your future, and hopefully I can attend one someday.
Oh, well, I think that's to be taken as read. I think you're showing your enthusiasm. We would love to have someone like you on board.
Yeah, I just need to get my 64 Renault Dauphine gravel ready, and I think I'll be fine.
I think you've got a weekend's work and you'll be there.
All right, excellent. Well, thanks again. Really appreciate it.
It was a pleasure, Jim. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes.
If you'd like to be on the podcast, you can email me, jim@jimboothdesigns.com, or message me through Facebook at Rallying in America, the Recce Podcast, or Instagram, rallying_in_America. Special thanks to Brady Instruments, pro-grade, handmade, professional fuel hydrometers. Visit bradyinstruments.com for all of your fuel testing needs. Thanks to Toontank and the artist Nuclear Wave for the podcast theme music.